Well, good morning. Happy 2023. Here we are. We made it. We're slogging our way into the new year. And I hope you will find your way upstairs and see us soon so that we can celebrate this new year together. How about that? We're going to talk about what's going on in the wine bar in a few minutes. But what I'd like to tell you in the meantime is, well, I'd like to actually reflect a little bit about how last year was compared to the 2 years before that. I'm calling last year 2022 practice. Finding our feet, retaining or re-achieving muscle memory, and kind of getting back into the swing of things. And I was telling one of our reps the other day, he came upstairs, and in fact, he told me, I already had this in my head, I was not going to chide him because there's a little allowance for this kind of thing. But he came upstairs yesterday and very knowingly, very aware of his company's situation with us, apologized. Out of thin air, this vendor apologized for what happened in 2022. Now, this is a big distributor from whom we buy a lot of wine. It is also somebody from whom we could buy even more wine to their advantage and ours as well if they had shown us more wine. And whereas the people are great, I have full confidence in this trio of people who represent this distributorship to us. Frankly, they didn't have to react together, and I wasn't surprised because neither did we. We were, you, me, they, we're all figuring it out, kind of getting back to the swing of things. And I said, you know what? I'll say his name right out loud. Ryan, 2022 was practice. How about that? Let's call it practice. Let's aspire to be better in 2023. Let's really achieve some things new. And remember what we used to do. I mean, sometimes that's kind of hard to do. Remember all the good things that we were as the wine steward 3 years ago before all the shit hit the fan. So let's all do that together, shall we? Let's aspire to make 2023 that most normal and wonderful of years. How about that? To that point, let's talk about these two events that we've planned. They're both on the website, thewinesteward.com, as of yesterday, and therefore available for sale. The first 24 people to RSVP for either one get seated. Maybe you want to come to both. But they are very, very different from each other. Let's tell you, first of all, that the one on February 8th, Tuesday, February 8th, is a class. We haven't done a class in a while, but this is a good old Wine Appreciation 101 class that we haven't put on in quite a long time. And a lot of people do these events, right? These classes, I should say, kind of saying, well, you should always smell your wine and then taste it. And are you getting citrus or are you getting watermelon or, all that crap? Well, we do the same thing, but I'd like to think we make it more fun. And the main gist of this class will be to display you, to show difference, to put two wines, normally two glasses in front of you, and have a wine poured in each so that you can use each as a reference point against the other and not say which is better, but to say how different they are from each other. I think that'll be fun. So this is kind of like Wine 101 with a subtitle of Appreciating Difference. How about that? Not saying what is best, but what are the differences between these wines. A great wine lover appreciates difference, all right? So, we will in fact have these different glass shapes and see what that matters, how that matters to the different wines that we'll pour. And you're saying, I don't need to bone up on wine. I think I was drinking more wine than ever before over the last 3 years, and I totally get it. But maybe there's somebody in your life who you'd like to bring to this event. And maybe you'd learn something too, even though you're the pro. It could be nice to have a nice recalibration up here and to bring a friend who's just getting into the subject. Maybe you've got a child who is now of age and you'd like to introduce him or her to something other than hazy IPAs and kombucha. Let's get them straight into wine. Frankly, the wine steward and the wine industry could use some new blood. So young blood, bring it on, bring him to the Wine Steward Wine 101 Appreciation class, subtitled something like The Appreciation of Difference or whatever. You heard what I said. That's event number one. Let's put this in front of you to describe event number two. Yep, you recognize that. Many of you do at least. Many of you have enjoyed this Pinot Noir. Well, this is from a producer that makes no fewer than, and probably more than, a dozen Pinot Noirs every year. This is Rath. They're located very inconveniently right across the street from the Santa Lucia Highlands. I think they should be included in that appellation. At any rate, many of their wines are identified as Monterey, and yet they do buy some fruit from Santa Lucia Highlands as well. I digress. I over-elaborate. I am trying to get to the point of saying that we're going to do an event on February 1st. That's a Wednesday, with Elizabeth Corsini representing the wines of Wrath. We'll do 6, maybe 7 wines of Wrath. 4 of them will probably be Pinot Noir. They've also just released the very first Brut Rosé. Yes, a sparkling wine made in the Champagne method. That is 100% Pinot Noir, so we'll probably start with that. It's beautifully labeled just in time for Valentine's Day. And then who knows what else? Probably Chardonnay from Wrath, one of those. And, oh my God, I had this very Northern Rhone quality and style Syrah from them when I was at their tasting room the other day. I've got to pour that. For those of you who appreciate Northern Rhone Syrah, you're going to say, whoa, this is from Monterey? It's beautiful Syrah. So I've only identified, what, 6, perhaps 7 wines? Why? Because we buy all of these wines from a wonderful person named aforementioned Elizabeth Corsini. She and her sister own Springboard Wine Company. That is a brokerage. I can tell you that another thing that we are hell-bent on doing in 2023 is remembering our relationships, remembering our friends. We buy wine from about 50 different sources. Did you know that? Importers, single wineries, distributors, brokers, but we buy probably half of our wine from 7 of those. And Liz deserves to be one of those. I've run with her, I've been to Spain with her. She and her sister are amazing go-getter women who have just built this brokerage from the ground up, and they are very, very blessed to have Wrath in their portfolio, along with many other things like Larkmead and Gemstone and Bialy, and a bunch of French and Italian and Greek wines that you've never even heard of before. So what I think we're going to do is 7 wines from Wrath and another 6 that represent the whole portfolio, as if it could, of Springboard Wine Company. And Liz can, of course, authoritatively speak for those as well. So maybe we'll have 1 wine from Italy, maybe a Brunello di Montalcino. We'll have 1 wine perhaps from Greece, maybe 1 wine from France. Did you know they represent Peygaud now? This Springboard Wine Company now has under their brokerage belt Peygaud, the great Chateauneuf-du-Pape producer. And who knows what else? Maybe we'll go to the Napa Valley. We want to have non-competes with this Pinot Noir producer known as Wrath. So 6 ways of non-competing with this great brand. What a great event. Diversity. This is for wine lovers, people who like more than one thing. How about that? People who like more than one thing. Open-minded people. I would like to invite you who are like that to join one of our 6 monthly wine clubs. I'm not asking all of you to join. Now, get this. If our numbers were bigger if our club numbers were bigger, I would sleep better at night. This store would feel much, much more positive about its future. I'm not saying that we're negative, but man, we would love to have more club members who are getting 2 bottles of wine from us every month on a regular basis, so that even in the slowest months of the year, meaning January, we still have this nice little shot, this infusion of cash, and we keep you, the wine club member, engaged even in the slowest month of the year. I don't want all of you to sign up. I don't want people who want sameness. I don't want people who want just the same thing all the time. You're not that kind of club member. You're not a Wine Steward Club member. Maybe you can sign up for a winery where you're getting kind of the same style every time. We want people who think out of the box, who want us to show them something new and different every time. That's the club member that really remains engaged with us, and we thank them back, we thank you back with 10% off everything you buy here at the Wine Steward. So consider signing up for one of our 6 monthly wine clubs. They are described on this sheet that you can grab here. They are also described on our website, thewinesteward.com. I can tell you that it would be good for you to have your horizons expanded. It, as I've already said, would be fantastic for the Wine Steward to grow our wine club numbers. And basically, it's great for the cause of good wine. It's great that people will, in fact, think out of the box, and that more wine people that we work with remain employed, even if they're selling foreign stuff that you wouldn't otherwise ever see. Like, we show you that stuff. We want to expose you. Now, if you want to play it safe, there is a club or two that devotes itself to all domestic wines. So maybe you put your finger, dip your toe in the pond that way and just see what we're finding you in the domestic club. And then maybe you add the Wine Adventure Wine Club, which shows you all foreign, or you switch over to that, whatever. We've got 6 different clubs per budget, per style. It's a great opportunity. And to advertise that even further, we're going to show you a bunch of wine club wines, future and present and past, on our WineBar menu this weekend. And that's one reason why I got in here early, was to build that WineBar menu. So let's tell you about that. Let's first of all tell you that on Wednesdays, we are launching that menu rather than on Thursdays now. We're gonna give this a try. We're gonna see if we can drum up a little Wednesday mezzanine business. Yeah, we close at 6 o'clock, but if you happen to have Wednesday afternoon off or get in here in the early evening, maybe start at 4 o'clock, you still have plenty of time to get through a whole flight of wines, a couple of nice glasses of wine, order a cheese and meat platter, and why not do that on a Wednesday when it's a little quiet up here and you can actually hear yourself speaking to your friend. Let me just put this in front of you just to remind me to tell you that we have three Wednesday deals. They only happen on Wednesdays up here at the Wine Bar. If you were to order a beer paddle, what's a beer paddle? We have 6 beers on tap over there. How about exercising your sense of wine wonder, but applying it to beer for once? Let's find out what 4 of those beers taste like in the form of smaller pours in these glasses on a paddle. That's what a paddle is. So, buy 1 paddle and the guy next to you gets a paddle at half price. How about that? Or buy a flight and get the second flight at half price. Or let's say you're alone and you're not gonna do 2 paddles or 2 flights on your own, perhaps. So what you can do instead is you can order a paddle or order a wine flight and get a kind of miniature cheese and meat platter that we have devised for Wednesday only. So that's on the house. This little kind of miniature version of what we sell to you otherwise is available if you order a whole flight. Well, available for nothing today, Wednesday, okay? So take advantage of these Wednesday deals. And I said that we were going to be doing Wine Club wines, past, present, and future on the Wine Bar. Present would mean that we still have some of our December wines down there so we can show them to you. Future means next week is Wine Club week. If you sign up today, you can still get in on the January wines and you can actually preview some of them by coming upstairs and enjoying these flights. A white flight that will have both of next week's brand new white Wine Club wines in it, among others from the past, and then a red flight that will also exploit Wine Club wines. Let's just not show you everything today, but there will be a sparkling wine by the glass. There will probably be a Chardonnay by the glass, but within the red flight, just for fun, let's show you this. Let's put this in front of you. This is what's going to our formerly known as Tuesday Night Wine Club wine, and I think it's called Adventure Starter now. We've just changed the names of a couple of our clubs just to kind of inject a little confusion into the whole scene. But this is Bobal. We showed that club, a Bobal, 6 months ago, and that wine didn't have a lot of resale, and I think I know why. It was a little grumpier than this. But Bobal is the name of the grape from Valencia, Spain, happening here in Atance, and this one is much friendlier. This is a happier version of Bobal. Bobal, what is it? You've never heard of Bobal? Of course you haven't, probably, because it's formerly known as like Spain's workhorse grape. It doesn't have the nobility of Tempranillo or the understandability necessarily of Garnacha and Monastrell. But Bobal, in the right hands, can make a very nice wine and affordable wine. This is juicy, lively, high acidity red wine that would go amazingly with this winter's rotisserie chicken or sausages. It's medium bodied, it's not heavy, it doesn't try to be heavy. Great wines don't have to be enormous in size. That's a lifting red wine, very fun stuff. Well, how about something that is big? Recognize that? You in the California Wine Club will recognize that wine. Sorry about the lighting. Because we gave Pessimist from Dow Vineyards to you a good 2 times in the past. I think twice, yeah. And this based on Petit Syrah and Syrah, a little bit of Zinfandel, a little of, get this, Lagrime is in there as well. That's a red grape originally from Alto Adige in northern Italy. That's also in here. So this is a fun blend from Dow Vineyards in Paso Robles. Now, to be very, very honest, I don't love everything that winery does. I love this. I think this is appropriate. But that said, I don't go home and drink huge wines all the time. This is a big sucker. Look, just even starting with the color, this is big wine. What do you expect from Petit Syrah from Paso Robles? But it's done correctly. It's got structure along with the big fruit. And I know most of you, if not all of you, will understand why we are clubbing this. This has beautiful fruit, but it's fruit done right. It's also the kind of thing that you can open when your neighbor comes over and your neighbor says, I only drink passionate wines. Well, I got this. Well, and you're both kind of like it. It's smart, big wine. I didn't really want to spit it out. Good stuff. Pessimist. Stupid name though. I didn't say that. Another one that's going to happen, this is going to the World Class Wine Club this month. This is an import of Kermit Lynch. We haven't shown you a Kermit Lynch wine in a while. That's because we hadn't seen Daniel Madero of Kermit Lynch up here showing us wine in a while, so we didn't have much inspirations to go on. But I have long loved this wine. This is called Oublié, which is kind of a silly name, but that's the name of the producer, Oublié. And this is in the Terrasse de Larzac, which is at the bottom of the Massif Central and into the Languedoc region, but it's inland Languedoc and about 16 or 1800 feet up from the Mediterranean Sea. Great soil up there. In fact, lack of soil. A lot of sandstone and limestone and schist happens up here, and not a lot of fertile soil. And that's what gives a struggling grape vine the ability to put out a more intensely flavored wine. And that's happening here in this blend of Syrah and Grenache and Carignan, my old friend. The most undersung grape in the world is what I'm going to start calling Carignan, just to kind of beat that drum a little harder. Oh, pretty, very pretty. It's not as big as the Pessimist, and yet it costs more. Why is that? It's a finer wine. It's a world-class wine. That's why it's landing in the World Class Wine Club. Well, that's about all we have time for, and I know you don't really want to hear me much longer, so let me just remind you. Let's review, shall we, class? That we are, in fact, going to have a class. That Wine 101 class is on February 8th for 24 of you. It'll be fun. It'll be hang loose. Bring your questions. We are not going to just cram information down your throat. We are going to gently ease it down your throat in the form of very good wine, okay? And then February 1st, that's the Wrath event. Wrath Pinot and Wrath besides that, and even besides Wrath. So that'll be a really cool event with a lot of really fun and diverse wine experiences. We talked about the wine club and how we would love to have you as a member. If you're already a member, you can always join another club. Did you know we actually have somebody out there who is in all 6 of our clubs? He just wants a case of wine every month. You know, it's 2 bottles per club each month. So he says, hey, choose me a case of wine, basically, and make them all the club wines. We love them. And then, what did we say? We're going to use some club wines in the wine bar, and then we have a Wednesday deal. So come in today and enjoy a little extra love in the form of discounts and miniature cheese platters and all that kind of stuff. Stay dry, get upstairs. We love you. Thank you. Happy New Year. Let's make 2023 better than practice.